We have the magic red button. We have the magic red button. We
All
are
right.
live. We are
We're
live.
live. All two of us.
All two of us. Yeah, I know. It's it's getting that time of year. Everybody's like getting towards the end. You're traveling. Where are you headed back from? Were you just on customer service?
I'm heading out right now. I'm actually going up to Ohio, and
Okay,
I'm visiting a Bitcoin miner up there and talking
very
about
cool.
doing some upgrades, which is really exciting. And
That's
my
exciting.
mom, I grew up and I was born in Cleveland, raised in Erie, Pennsylvania. So I told my mom, so I got my meeting and I'm driving over. We're going to spend the weekend together. So
Oh, that's awesome.
going to
So
go
cool.
and
Gotta go
it
see your mom.
said weather advisory in Ohio. So I
Did?
know how to drive in the snow.
Oh yeah, I do too. But yeah, but not everybody does. Well, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I've been in Texas for so long and it's 70 degrees today. I'm like, when is it going to be winter? Like
Mm.
it goes back and
Come up
forth.
to Nashville. It's like 28 degrees right now.
Was
So
it?
come up to Nashville. We'll show you some winter,
Yeah.
even though that's not technically winter as Nashville.
Yeah,
So
I know. I think it's gonna warm up. It's like right now it's like in the 50s, so hence I'm wearing a sweater. I'm so fair weathered, but
right,
fair
right.
weather person. But
So
yeah,
Amy,
no,
you were telling me you're going to PTC, right?
I'm going to
So
PTC.
tell
Yes.
me your take on PTC because everybody's talking about it.
Yep. Well, number one, for those who don't know, it's in Hawaii. So, it's a great excuse to go to Hawaii. I'll go to Honolulu all day long.
Right,
But my understanding, and this is what I've never been. So, what everybody says is you really don't have to buy a pass because there's so many people just doing business in the lobby. But so for whoever buys the pass, you're like double 2x the amount of people that actually go because they're all in the lobby doing business, which I've been to
right.
conferences like that.
Yep.
And I'm excited for all the parties and all the things, people like know how to do it up in the data center industry for sure. But I think it's what I like about this one is it's kind of my understanding from everybody I've talked to, a lot of business gets done. You kind of have to typical conference set yourself up to like meet a bunch of people, but I want to get the vibe of it. But I said, bypass, don't bypass your PTC. I'll support PTC. Go bypass. You want to be a part of that. But what else? I mean, I don't know. What do
Yes,
you think?
it'll be my first PTC as well. And it's interesting, and you probably have the same experiences that everyone in the industry will be there. That
Yes.
is when you talk about what event, because us being in this industry, every week there's an event. I
I
mean,
know.
I was at Dice in San Jose last week. That if I
Yeah.
went to every event, I'd be at
Yeah.
events all day long, every day of
Yeah.
every week.
Yep.
But when you talk to everybody, this is the one event I think everybody agrees. Oh yeah, I'll be there. I'll be there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
for me, from Johnson Control side, we look at this as our opportunity to see all of our existing customers. They'll be there,
Right.
and all of our existing partners. So for me, trade shows have always been, why do I need to fly around the country or the world to go meet my clients and partners? You meet at a trade show and like everybody's there. So
Yeah.
I'm very excited for it as well, and it's supposed to
Yeah.
be fun, right? So I got to pull
It's
out
supposed to be
my little Hawaiian shirts. So
exactly. The only chance you get to pull out all your Hawaiian clothes. That'll be awesome. No, I think it'll be a good time. I hear there's a lot of business can get done there and do
right,
because same thing. There's a lot of people there, but I'm looking forward to like the luau's and like all that they do all the fun things too, right? I
you're
hear
a great networker, Amy. So I'll just follow you
gotta
then.
try.
Wherever Amy's
Yeah, there
going,
we go. Gotta
that'll
gotta
be
get
fun.
bounce around. Yeah, like but yeah, and I think the cool thing will be to see if this one truly is more focused on because it's around connectivity. That's what it's about. It's a
Right. Yep.
telecommunications. So this one's, you go to a lot of the data center ones and it's all about power or it's about, servers but it's not the digital infrastructure side of the data center. I love to see what that looks like. Right.
Yeah.
There's some people that
Yeah.
talk about it, but some don't. So it would be
I mean,
interesting.
they even have a whole session on undersea connectivity.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's
So that'll be,
fascinating. I
yeah.
mean, if we're
I
going to put data
always,
centers in space now, isn't there a race to
I
put
know.
data centers in space?
Yes.
So, and I know
Under,
that
under the
Microsoft tried this subsea thing. I don't think that worked out so well.
yeah, no, yeah. And then we have the one guy that's trying to do it in the moon, and then the satellites, and yeah, we're gonna put them up in space. And okay,
Hey,
all right.
Johnson Controls won't have a job because I don't think there'll be any cooling to do.
No, no. Talk about that. I guess we haven't really introduced ourselves. We probably should do that. I'm Amy Palvido, chairwoman of the U.S. PropTech Council and CEO, founder and CEO of Facilimax. And we serve the data center industry on the software side, where we can do digital twins and simulations. And we're really focused on the AI, like the GPUs and AI is kind of what we're focused on, more so than traditional data centers. So yeah, that's who we are. And Marty.
Awesome. Great. So Amy, thanks for having me on again. So Martin Renkus, Marty's fine. I work for Johnson Controls in their infrastructure as a service division. So what we do is we provide cooling and behind the meter power and even things like heat absorption as a service. So we reduce CapEx, we reduce risk, we help data centers get to ROI faster with less risk. So that's my business.
So how is AI changing? Like everything's they're doing hybrid cooling, right? So some will do air, some will do liquid, some will do immersion, right? The immersion thing always trips me up. I don't know, but on the AI factories themselves, I would say most of them are liquid cooled, right? Or are they doing? Are they?
I mean, so if you look at the cooling, right? Liquid cooling is definitely the path to the future because the demand for cooling is so great. Air just can't keep up with the amount of power that's being run through a rack. So we're still a lot of air cooling. That's still most of what's out there today. But as we move to these higher and higher power racks, we have. I mean, right now there's no option. You've got liquid cooling, and then you've got immersion, which you talked about immersion. There is one company that I've been following in that space, Firmus, and they've done a tremendous job. And that full immersion cooling has its limitations, and it's not going to replace everything, but it's going to have its place.
Yeah. So hybrid models, and then that creates its own set of complexities if you're doing hybrid models, right?
Yeah, I don't know much about hybrid. I'd almost say that you will have designated sites that will be immersion, designated sites that'll be liquid, designated sites that'll be air. I don't think it would add a level of complexity, like you said, to do hybrid.
Interesting.
If you're, upgrading sites, let's say, you're a Bitcoin miner and you wanted to add Gen AI, then you're going to air cool your Bitcoin mining. You're going to do liquid cool your Gen AI. So that would be an example of a hybrid. I don't think that'll be the most popular plan.
Probably not, right? I mean, it just complete different infrastructures. Everything is kind of different between the two, right? Going from
absolutely.
It's not easy to do.
Absolutely. And I think as we've been introducing this cooling as a service to the market, we've had a lot of interest in it because of the financial model. I mean, and this really well. We've had this conversation on your show many times about labor shortage.
Right.
If you're you're building a data center right there in Texas, and where are you going to find HVAC experts? Where do you find those people who are experts in cooling? Because there's so much at stake. You build a 100 megawatt data center, and you're going to need experts to make sure that stays cooled. Because the minute the cooling goes off, like we saw with CyrusOne, which wasn't a Johnson Controls problem, but as soon as the cooling went off, the data center shut down. So the cooling is mission critical. So solving that problem of providing the operations and all the people and all the experts to make sure it works. We've had a lot of interest in that. So it's kind of an interesting way to look at the cooling business.
Well, from a risk model, right? If they can offset the risk to you, and then their SLAs can be okay with all of that, like all their agreements with their end customers or whoever it is. I mean, if it's Google, it's them, but whatever. But I mean, I think it offsets some risk from the operator if you're doing that kind of stuff, for sure.
Yeah, we won't take all the risk. We'll take some of the risk. Like, as you know, very well know, you'll have people that will be renting from you, and based on the
Yeah.
mission criticality of your
Right.
client, you may
Right.
have super high penalties. It may go down, it might be $1 million a minute kind of thing where it becomes mission critical.
Right. I know. Yeah. Looking forward so much to that. That'll be so much fun.
Yeah. How is your project coming
It's
along?
good. It's going. We just had a conversation yesterday with the utility provider, and it just seems like this whole thing around the power. Just when you
Mhm.
think you got your head wrapped around it, and like, oh, we're going to have this, and then everything moves out, like the needle moves to
Mhm.
the right, and you're just like, oh my gosh. So the update on Texas is, I think it was a month ago, they had 200 gigawatts in the queue for a new
Wow.
generation. Like, yeah, not
200
generation, to load.
gigawatts.
200
That's
gigawatts
insane.
of load.
Yeah.
And that was a month ago. It is now,
Mhm.
as of yesterday, 230 gigawatts of load requests. And,
Isn't that insane? That's insane. Yeah.
absolutely insane. And I would venture to guess that a majority of that is real. Like, there's enough sites that if they could get it, because Texas has so much land. Um,
Mhm.
and so I was talking with the utility provider yesterday, and this was actually really helpful because they still don't know. So SB6 passed, right? The bill passed.
Mhm.
They still haven't figured out how they're going to enforce it or what are they going to do. Like, they're still working through all that. So it passed, I think, in June.
And
So
what
since
was that bill again, Amy? What was the
so
the key part to that?
this was about understanding the large load interconnection process. But
Mhm.
basically what it's doing is that basically if you're going to do on-site power generation, which most data centers now do, right? They're going to build out power generations for themselves, either as a
Right.
redundant or the primary now. And now because the grid's taking so long, it's the primary source, right? The
That's
on-site power
right.
generation is your primary source and
Mhm.
the transmission is your redundant source. But
Right.
if you're going to do that, what they tried to do was marry those, because the generation queues to connect to the grid are a separate process than the load requests from taking from the grid. So what they tried to do is marry those two together. And so
Right.
so you're now not having to do it's actually fairly smart. You're not having
That
to do
makes sense.
two
Yeah.
separate power studies. If you're going to put on-site power generation and then you're also going to request from the load, well, you can run that into the same power study, right? Basically,
Yeah.
to save
Makes
time.
sense.
So that was pretty much what it ensured, but it also basically ensured that anybody over any sort of large load is going to do on-site power generation. They're not going to do it without it, right? It's
Right.
especially from the data
Yeah,
center.
we see that. We see that coming up a
Yeah.
lot in our conversations. We
Yep.
even have some people doing on-site power that want to do heat absorbers to make the power even more efficient.
Yes.
So you can take the
Yeah.
heat from your exhaust, from your recip or your turbine, put it
Right.
into a chiller or even a fuel
Yep.
cell, put it into a chiller and generate chilled water. But
Yeah, yeah. So the whole waste heat and using the heat in really smart ways. We were also looking at heat off takers, like next to our power gen and our data center, like, so because we have it's a park, right? We call it the giga park, and it's actually, we're getting more land. So originally it's 1,200
mhm.
acres. Now we're
Yeah.
up to about 1,600. We could go up to
Wow.
3,000 if we wanted, buying neighboring properties, because once
hmm
we kind of figure out this power side and what that looks like, basically we'll be islanded for a while. Like,
Yeah.
we're gonna get this thing up and running, and we're talking, based off of the conversations I had yesterday, 7 years before I'm gonna
Right.
get any sort of power
Isn't that crazy? And I mean, you think about it. You said the
from the
request
grid.
right now, the
Yeah,
request today is 230, 230
230 gigs. Yes.
gigawatts request. Now you wonder how much of that, you said most of it is real, which it very well may be, but some of it has to be duplicated, right? Like two people are filing to get power from the same site, or it doesn't work that way.
No, so the load side's just load. It's not the gen. The gen is separate. So this is just people taking from the grid, the request to take from the grid. Yeah, it's nuts.
Wow.
And so you've got those requests, but then so you
Mhm.
know how people will place bets and hedge, like I'll put a request in here, 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 and here. And if this one hits, I'll just get rid of all the other ones, right? And they have to do that because it just takes so long. So you're
Right.
gonna place your bets all over the place, like place it on black and red, right? I gotta cover my
Yeah.
bases.
Yeah.
And then above, what is it, above 18, or I can't even remember what the number, I don't bet enough on roulette, but anyway, so you're going to kind of do that as an owner operator so you can get these things up and running, right? Because to meet
Right.
your customers' demands. So, yeah, so I think we don't know how much is phantom, and they don't know. Because once you get to, because now what they're doing is they got inundated with so many requests, like ours is in the queue. Then what they're going to do is when they come to this is as it sits today, it could change tomorrow. This is what
Right.
my utility guy was saying. It could change tomorrow. But basically they're going to do cluster studies. And so they're figuring out which cluster we're in. Right now we're in cluster 4. So
Okay.
we'll see. But cluster 1 just started. And that was by ERCOT's request that they go through everybody who's already kind of down the path, like actually to study them. It was actually very diligent, like study the people who are already under the process. They hadn't flipped the switch yet, but they'd done their power studies. They'd done everything. Let's just go back and look at all those people just to make sure.
That's smart. Yeah.
It's very smart to make sure we're not going to overdo ourselves. And then the next group is the people who had already had their power studies done, but hadn't started pushing dirt. And then the next group, the group 3, is where they're trying to figure out, okay, they're ferreting between 3 and 4 and like, who's real? We want to put the people who are, they actually have the land under contract. They actually are working on the gen side. They actually are working, so I think we're going to move from 4 to 3, which will just move up our timeline, but it's nothing crazy. It's just going to move
But
our time.
you're still 5-7 years. Is that what you're thinking?
Well,
And then
by the time,
yeah.
yeah, no. So they're that's for the study part. So they're going to move probably to go from cluster study 4 to 3. We'll move up our power study process, like maybe 90 days. That's not the kink in the cog in the system. They have to now go. You do the power study just to figure out how much are the upgrades going to be that someone's going to have to pay for. And then how long is it going to take them to do those upgrades? That's what the power study, all it does. So
That's just going to get you to there. What's your on-site power plan? Do you have an on-site power plan?
Yeah, we do. So it's natural gas, and we're also talking to SMR nuclear too.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah. So that we'll have, and then the nuclear can come online probably 2030. So if we started like with the PPA and got that all squared away next year, like early next year, by 2030, we could have 150 megawatts of nuclear there. And then the natural gas, we will have that up and running by early 2029, the power plant. And that'll be like 400 megawatts or so.
Awesome. And are you going to be, and sorry for all the questions, I think
it's cool.
Fascinating for me, and I'm sure your listeners are interested in the real process. You're going through the real process.
I know.
And did you decide you're doing turbines, recips, fuel cells? How are you going to create the power from the gas?
So this was the interesting development. And if we were able to act on this maybe like a month ago, it would have worked. So here's the game in the oil and gas industry. We're going to do recip engines because those are the closest things you can get to producing power. Turbines, forget about it. Like I don't know. I should do that very much when like a New Yorker. Forget about it. Like I can't do it. I'm a Texan.
Forget about it.
Forget about it. But where the game was about 4 months ago, the game is that people had, especially in the oil and gas industry, they buy a lot of turbines, right? They have their stuff in there. So there was this marketplace for reserve spots for turbines. Like if I had my reserve spot and I was going to get a turbine in 2026, well, I could sell that sucker off to a data center.
Right, make some money on the reserve spot.
Money on the reserve spot. Exactly. That's what people are
Yeah.
doing. And somebody figured that out and they were all gone. Like within months, that went through like wildfire and somebody sold them
Right.
all. So because I
Yeah.
was going
Well,
to be
hey,
the third
did
spot.
you talk to our friends at Bloom Energy about
We did.
their fuel cells? Because
Yeah,
their lead times, at least
they're
6 months
short.
ago when I talked to them, the lead times are short, and they're opening up a whole new manufacturing plant.
They are. Yeah, no, I think they're shorter. I think it's that would be one of the sources, right? We'll have natural gas we can bring it on site. We could probably do it that way. It's really dependent on the off taker and who likes what kind of power source, right? And
Right.
so you have to look
Interesting.
at it. You have to look at it because they might not accept a fuel cell. And Bloom's doing great. And
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
yeah. So Bloom's doing great. Don't knock Bloom. Full disclosure, I own their stock. I'm like and I think they're a really cool use case. You just got to make sure you pair that up with whoever the off taker is. So on the advanced
Yeah.
manufacturing side, the people that are coming into the park, they'll use fuel. They don't care. They'll use fuel cells. They don't care. They just want to hook up and it works, right? The data centers are a little more pickier about their power sources, because
Yeah.
especially if they're going to do any sort of AI. So yeah,
That's right. That's right.
yeah.
It's interesting. So I know that Bloom stock has been up 350% this year. So hopefully you got to ride that with your
A little
Bloom
bit.
stock.
Yes.
That's not bad.
Right. Not bad. Not bad. A lot of those
Well,
tech stocks are though. I mean, like Credo and a lot of that. It's a good time to be in tech stocks for sure. Yeah, it's a good time.
yeah, I mean, my son and I were having a discussion yesterday at lunch about, the bubble. And I know we've talked about that
I know.
a lot here. And,
Yeah.
and I mean, today, Oracle dropped 12.5%, on their earnings, which
Right.
didn't hit their marker. But then also there was some concern about how closely they're tied in with OpenAI. So it's
Right.
just interesting. It's just
Yeah.
interesting what's happening here. I don't think there's a bubble because I think you and I see the demand is
Yeah.
so great. And this is not speculative, no revenue mania like the dot-com day.
Yeah.
The market is not disconnected from real economic
Yeah.
utility yet.
Yeah.
I mean, we may be leaning towards some things like that, but
Yeah.
so I still, my son's like, Dad, this is a bubble. Like we're right in the middle of it.
Well, there was a dot-com bubble and dot-coms are still around. So, I mean, yes, are some players possibly overvalued comparative to their revenues like OpenAI? Sure. But OpenAI just signed $1 billion deal with Disney. So,
Yeah, right. That happened.
They did. And so, yes, their revenue was 13 billion. Well, now it's going to be 14 billion, depending on when they want to recognize it. But it is interesting. I think, we know. So why I don't think there's an AI bubble is the fact that enterprises have not really deployed AI yet. Like they've done a little bit, they've tinkered, they've done a model here or there. And it's all because they don't have the capacity or compute to do the AI models that they would like to do. Right. And so,
That's right.
and so we're not in a bubble because there's still demand far outweighs supply. And, until I don't think the demand goes away because they can't get it. I think that demand will
Yes.
always be there. As soon as capacity becomes available, it's gone. And I had to chuckle. I was at the NAREIT, I was at REIT World in Dallas on
Right. Yeah.
a couple of days ago, and I spoke on AI and machine learning. And then I went to the lunch, and there were these people, these investment folks who invest in REITs, like large funds invest in REITs. And there was this lady talking about the data center industry, and I had to laugh. I was just like, okay, girlfriend, you clearly don't know this industry. And she was talking about, well, she was good up until like they're 70% pre-leased. She goes, what about all the ones coming online, all that lease, that they didn't lease And I was like, girlfriend, they're leased as soon as yes, they're pre-leased, but by the time they're built, they're leased. There is no
Yes, right now
vacancy.
they are. There is no,
There's no
there's
vacancy
no,
or
there's no stock out there in the
there's no
market of
stock.
powered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Mm,
like, what are you talking about, Willis? Like, I'm just kind
mm,
of looking at him like, I just visibly shook my head no. I was like, no. I was audibly went, you're an idiot. Like, I was
yeah.
just
No,
like,
it was
no.
interesting. I won't use any names, but I saw someone on another podcast on Tech Capital, and they were saying, "Oh, when we get more energy efficiency, the power use will go down." And I'm like, that's not going to happen. And, they talked about Jevons paradox because I think this
Yeah.
person represented a data center company. And I think they were trying to present themselves as like, hey, we're going to get more efficient and we're going to use less power. But, we've talked about Jevons paradox on this show before, which is,
Yeah.
and it dates back to, what was it, the coal, when they did coal days, they said, hey, as machines got more efficient, they're going to use less
Right.
coal.
Right.
So, and it's like, no, as machines got more efficient, people use more machines. So
Exactly.
that's exactly what's going to happen. So I
It's
don't
like,
see the demand,
no, they'll
going
just sell
down.
more compute capacity.
Right. Right.
Basically, that's all they're going to do. They're going to stick more servers in there.
Well, you remember like when
Yeah.
the first era of cloud and we all started
Yeah.
using
Yeah.
email and all this stuff and our lives were going to become so much more efficient. We get so much more work done that we could take 2 hours off and go fishing during the day with all this
No,
free time we've got.
I know.
So yeah, clearly it doesn't work that way. We take the free
No.
time and then we work more. So
Yeah, I know. I know. I think it's crazy. Yeah, but hooray for being more power efficient. We should get there, right? We don't want to be bad. We
yeah.
already have enough grief, but did you see the article about 230 environmental groups went to the White House and tried to get a data center moratorium? Like, because we're so.
No, I didn't hear about
Yes.
this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And I was just
Wow.
like, stop building data centers. We're gonna ruin the world. And that, I mean, it is a tough pill to swallow. That's what everybody. I don't think that's what everybody thinks about us, but there are a lot of people that do. A
And a
lot of people.
lot of people do, and clearly we as an industry are doing a horrible job
Yeah.
educating people. A
Yeah.
horrible job.
No,
And you
I
keep reading, it's like more people show up and then they shut down developments and I'm not saying that data centers are perfect and they certainly use a lot of power. And can that make electricity prices go up? It could, maybe not. I don't know. It all
know.
depends.
So what's happening and why it's making any sort of electric prices go up is the fact that there's all this new power plants coming on. And you have to offset the newness, right? Because they were more expensive to build. So yes, your electric prices are going to go up a little bit because they've added that to the grid, and therefore those new assets cost more, and therefore they have to figure it out through the transmission rates, right? I think they're trying to figure out a way to all the legacy folks, the residential folks, don't have to participate in some of that, right? And I think that was also what SB6 in Texas was trying to do. That
Right.
if you were the cause of a brand new substation getting built and a brand new transmission line getting built, you should pay for that and not all the residential customers around. It shouldn't be socialistic in that kind
Well,
of concept.
what's interesting is that at Dice last week, I got to hear the CEO of PG&E and the
Mhm.
mayor of San Jose. They're bringing 2 gigawatts into San Jose. Now, this is like some lovey-dovey relationship, which I did not think it was that way before. My understanding, it wasn't that way at all, that they would have
Okay.
been, horrible enemies. But now this is this win-win where the PG, the mayor wins and the city of San Jose wins because they're getting more power and they're getting a lot of new infrastructure to support this
Right.
new power so the city can grow. That all makes sense. But PG&E is winning because they can sell more power.
Right.
So it's really is a win-win. And there was
Right.
conversations about how electricity prices were not going to be affected by all this, that if anything, it was going to be a positive effect. So here you go. There's one example, and I'm not saying it all works that way everywhere, but
Right.
there's one example of a very positive relationship between the
Oh,
utility, the city,
for
and the
sure.
and the people.
Yeah. And you know, the cool thing about and not all of them are like this. Not all are for profit. Like when you're in a co-op, like you're going to get the cheapest rates possible because they can't make money. They're a nonprofit. And so they have to
Right.
break even. They have to do everything they can to break even. And if they go over and make more money, they distribute it back to the members. Like, so the
Yes.
one site we're in was in a co-op. Like the co-op runs it, right? And so
Nice.
they're like trying to figure it all out, but they're still doing with the same thing. So you have new assets coming on board, whether it's the utility doing it or you're building it on site, and maybe you don't need the redundancy, that kind of thing. But I think it's really for people to understand. You know, if the data center, I think most data centers are going to go this way, where they're going to do on-site power generation. Whatever they do take off the transmission, whether it's sized for more because you need complete redundancy, but they're actually not probably pulling it all. And so, you know, you might use it on occasion or whatever it might be if it's not your primary. And you kind of have to blend all of that. So I don't know if the prices should necessarily go up or they're not going to go up or whatever it
I
might
mean,
be.
yeah, I mean, at a grand scale, my understanding is our grid is pretty old and natty. I mean, it
Yeah.
needs an upgrade. So this might be a good thing overall. And like
Yeah.
you said, with more and more people building power on site,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
that's a big part of the story as well. And I
Yeah.
think we've done a lot in terms of water because people say, "Oh, you're going to use
Oh,
all
for
of our
sure.
water." It's like, no,
Yeah.
everything now we don't use water for cooling anymore.
No.
So we've addressed the water problem.
Yeah.
Efficiencies. I mean, just Johnson Controls alone, our latest chillers are 40% more energy efficient. I mean,
Yeah.
those are the kind of jumps that we're making. So we're constantly making things more efficient. So maybe it
Yeah.
has effect, maybe it doesn't, and I'm sure it's also geographically dependent.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, I think if you had a water constrained area, but a lot of power and really great fiber, the data center industry would figure out how to put a data center there, right? I mean, like the water is not a disqualifier per se anymore. Obviously, power is,
Right.
fiber is, right?
Right.
But even fiber, they would figure it out. Like if it's like, you know, within miles away, they'll just bring it over, you know, if you've got
I have
power.
not heard many people saying, "Oh, you're too far away from fiber." It's power,
No,
power, power, power,
exactly.
and power.
Yeah, exactly. They'll bring the fiber over. It's totally fine. But yeah, it's totally power. So I think it's you know, obviously you want to be for our site, we were where it made sense is there's so much natural gas pipelines in that area and very
Right.
large natural gas pipelines that we could hook into that we could get if we just did natural gas alone based off of the capacity that's are on those lines, we could do 2.5 gigawatts of power
That's
just
fantastic.
on natural
And
gas alone.
and let me ask you something. Have you compared the price of the grid power to your generating power? Is it about the same? Is it because
No.
obviously you have to maintain it. You have, you
So
know,
so the gen power, the what you're going to get from a transmission line is always going to be cheaper because they have other sources they're pulling it in from. It could be wind, it could be it's already on the grid. So they have other gen sources and they're older assets that they've kind of
and
depreciated down
that's in Texas
in Texas.
for
Yeah.
Texas. Like
Yeah.
in Connecticut, the electricity is really expensive. So
Yeah.
like Bloom fuel cells, that's our number two market because
Oh, yeah.
electricity is so expensive and they can actually generate it for cheaper than you buy it
Yeah,
from the grid.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So
So low gas price, high
yeah,
electricity price,
yeah.
and you generate and it's cheaper.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. Yeah, for that market for sure. I mean, I understand like you know, Texas we're a little blessed with cheap power.
Yeah,
Yeah, because we're in
a good thing.
ERCOT and yeah, we're all kind of self-sustaining. We have all these renewable sources, and the renewable sources make your like it's sad, but in Texas, the renewable sources make your electric bill higher. So if you're going to bring in wind or whatever it might be, it does kind of make it higher. But and if you're just running, you know, natural gas, man, it's pretty damn cheap. So, but it's nothing awful. Like you're gonna for our on our new side, you're at 10 cents, something like that, 9, 10
Right.
cents, depending on the
Yeah.
volume, right? So you're
Yeah.
gonna be a little bit higher per kilowatt, but nothing crazy town. I don't think.
Why do the renewables, make the price go up? Because it's just more expensive to generate from
Yeah,
solar
they're
and
just that
wind?
how far they're like the wind is like way the hell out there. I don't know. I don't. I'm in power. I'm at power 102. I'm
Got
getting
it.
there. I just had this conversation and I'm like trying to follow along with my power guy who is awesome, by the way. And he's talking like all these different things and blah, blah, blah. And he's talking with the utility and they're going back and forth blah, 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 like that. And I'm catching like every other word. And I'm like, okay, I
And
think
you're
that's
good.
what that means. You know,
Yeah. I
but
think
I
that's a
don't.
good thing. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, I know, right? And I'm trying to understand this is the whole game. Like if you're going to get in the data center industry and be a developer, understanding this piece is huge to and it's so complex and so crazy. But also in Texas, it's like changing, it just seems to like change because they haven't figured it out either. So but yeah,
Yeah,
so
I mean,
we
right? Everybody's figuring. I mean, we're building this plane as we're flying it. I mean,
yeah,
everybody is. The
I know.
utilities are, the data center developers are,
Yeah,
infrastructure people like
yeah.
ourselves. I mean, we're all figuring this out as we go. And I mean, I've even heard of one of our clients where they had an agreement, and this is a big company. Everybody knows they had an agreement with the utility, and they moved forward, and then utility said sorry.
Sorry.
I mean,
We
can
don't
you imagine you're making hundreds of
oh
millions of dollars of
yeah,
investment decisions? You have a signed piece of paper from utility, and they
yes.
come back and say, sorry, it's going to be another 2 years. I'm like,
Yeah. Yeah.
wow, okay, I built a whole business around this piece of paper you gave me.
I know. I know. That's like lawsuits waiting to happen. Yeah, no, I think, and that's what I think, the one that we're dealing with is very like, they're like, look, it could be 7 years, it could be 10 years. When we actually give you this piece of paper after we're done, I goes, we've studied it, we've got it approved, like ERCOT actually now approves it. It's not just us, it's not the TSP, it's actually ERCOT saying, yep, you can do that.
Right.
So actually, so that's a good part about it. It's like when you do get the piece of paper, it might not be the answer you want, but at least you can bank on it, right? Hopefully.
Right.
And I think that's what they're
Yeah.
trying to do. I think that's what they're trying to do. So if
And
it's
I mean, I think it's rare that example I did with the
yeah,
utility, and I don't know all the circumstances. There may have been something there, but that
could have
happens
been
too.
supply chain problems. They couldn't get the high voltage transformers or whatever it might be, or the switch gear they needed, or there they
Right.
go
That's the
through
hard thing.
a lot of that for sure. Yeah, yeah, no, they go through a lot of that. But I think it's interesting. This has been drinking from a fire hose on this site.
Right.
I've been a developer for a long time. This is totally new. Like
It's not
it's
real estate, is it?
no, it's
Right?
more
It's
than that.
infrastructure investing. You're an
Infrastructure. Yeah,
infrastructure investor, not a real estate investor.
yeah, exactly. And really it is. And then even understanding like before, like even on the water side, even though we're not going to take a lot of that water thing was the biggest. I remember calling you. I was the
Yeah, I
biggest
remember like, Marty, how much water are we going to
how much do
use?
I need? I don't know. Because I kept getting different answers. And it was like the biggest question mark we ever had was how much water are we going to need? Like, what is it? And the power gen guys are now like everything's kind of switching and you don't need as much water either. On if you
Right.
use recip engines, you don't need a lot of water. If you use turbines, yeah, you do. But if you're using
Yeah.
recip engines for natural gas, you don't need a lot of water. And so it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, how much are we going to do with that? And so I just wanted to go to the water, the district and go, hey, we're going to need this. So plan for this, right? We need it in, 2 years or whatever. And so
Right.
that they can plan because that's a whole other thing. And it was like the biggest question mark forever. And so it was like, no, we need like, I don't know, 20,000 gallons a day, which is nothing. That's like nothing
Yeah.
compared
Yeah.
to some of them like millions of gallons a day, right? And I'm like,
Right.
well, okay,
No, it's crazy. So the,
it is.
the water requirements used to be tremendous,
I
and they
know.
still are for many sites for
Yeah,
cooling. Yeah.
yeah. But I think it's like once you get those closed loop systems charged, right? Which someone told me, depending on the size, so at 2 million gallons of whatever they're going to run in those systems, and then they're done. It's like a radiator, and it's just gonna till it leaks.
That's
But
totally it. I mean, that's how they work with the closed loop system. You're gonna fill it up, prime it up,
yeah,
based on the size. It could be an Olympic sized swimming pool worth of water, and
mhm,
then you're
yep,
done. off you go.
Yeah. And some of the, even on the power gen side, some of the systems are closed loop, right? And so they're doing that too. And so now you're not needing as much water. But I was like, well, we're going to have bathrooms. So we'll count on the bathrooms. Check. They need water.
I'm sorry, if you're working in my data center, no one's going to the bathroom here because we have no water. We're going to be the
There's no
zero
water.
water data
There's
center.
an outhouse. There's an out. Go to
It's
the
like,
porta potty.
yeah, you're right. Go, there's a porta potty out back, or, walk to my
I know.
house. Well, is your house right next door to the data center? Probably should be.
No.
So you
But
can
it's
look out from your
obviously-
kitchen with your binoculars and go,
Exactly.
hey, is everybody working? What are those guys doing out there? Get back
I
to work.
know. I know. But back to our PR problem. I think
Yes.
the environmental folks, the people that are they're scared. I get it. They're scared. We do have a long way to go. I'm sure Trump looked at that and went, "Pfft." But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I don't know how to solve that problem. But there's enough people that were freaking out about it that that were like, I did see. Did you see the commercial? Meta started doing commercials to address this problem. They
Oh,
had
good.
so from one of it came on. I don't know what channel it was on. Like Meta came to our town and built a data center. It was like in Alabama or wherever. And they brought so many jobs. It was like a PR on data center industry, how good it is for a town. And he goes, now we have parks and blah, blah, blah. And there was just basically a 30-second commercial on, we weren't sure if we wanted a data center in our
Yeah.
town. And now we're so happy we accepted it, basically.
I mean, that needs to happen. And it's
I
not
know.
all perfect, right? But that needs
Right.
to happen. That education needs to happen.
Yes.
And and it's a shame to see everything being driven so much by fear. And then,
Right.
what are the facts? And there have been so many success stories. And I'm sure there's been failure stories too, where people say, oh, this data center went up. It's noisy. My electricity bills went up. I'm sure that has happened.
Yes.
But at the same time, it's like, how do we educate so that the community can say, what are you doing about this? What are you going to do about this? And
Yes.
then the developers can say, here's our plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad that you saw that commercial. That's great.
Yeah. And I know on the noise side, like the Granbury deal where it was Bitcoin miners actually. And
Right.
yes, and it's a large Bitcoin mining group, but apparently they're within the decibel limit. They're inside of it. Like they're
Right.
not they're not like violating any sort of laws. They're inside the decibel limit, but still like people are having a hard time because they're loud, and it's not necessarily the servers, it's the power. The power gens can be loud. Like the recip engines and stuff we're going to build, the turbines are loud as hell. Like they
Right.
just are, right? They're like jet engines sitting there producing power. Like, just so you know.
Right.
Yeah. So, but they're working on ways to make them not as noisy. They are. I think the industry is doing that to get them within those decibel limits that they can abide by. They're still going to make noise. You can't produce power and it doesn't make noise. That's just at the end of the day.
Well, you can with the Bloom fuel cell. I know we keep talking about Bloom.
I know.
But, I mean, it is pretty amazing tech. You can't hear a thing. It's not hot. It looks, I'm a big fan as you know already.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's I know they had a really cool news with Oracle, and Oracle was looking at them and using them as a fuel source. I think it makes sense. I mean, I'm not opposed to it. As an option. I think there was the other article was like, we'll take it however you can get it to us. Whatever the power is.
Now that's very true. Everybody's like, I just want power.
Power.
I don't care if you're putting squirrels in cages and they're running around and it's going to cost me 5 million pounds of walnuts a month, but I need power. So.
I know. It's so funny, but it does cause, and they're working on technology to solve it. And this is me nerding out a little bit. I think it's called harmonics. I just know it as dirty power. So when you have multiple sources of power, it makes the power kind of fluctuate, and then it comes into the data center, and that's not the nicest thing on servers. Like the servers need like steady state, kind of like clean power, that's about as technical as you're going to get out of me. But there is some tech that's working on solving that problem, because as more and more data centers go to multiple sources of power for redundancy and for just capacity, it's going to cause that harmonics, or whatever they call it. I'm not an electrical engineer. Don't ask me. All my electrical engineer friends are going, Amy, nice try, man. But I'm like, I'm sure I'm close.
They're looking at you the way you looked at that gal talking about real estate. So the importance of the microgrid control is going to be huge, right? Because, I'm working on some battery projects.
Right.
So I'm storing power in a battery. I'm getting power from the grid. I'm getting power from my turbines out back. So I have multiple power sources, and how do I condition all that power, and how do I make all that power work together friendly? And during the day, when the grid is expensive, I'm pulling it from my batteries, and then at night I'm generating from my generators, and all of that. And the software between all of that is so critical for the future of the data center.
Yeah, for sure. And plus, I think there's some hardware involved to kind of as if you're trying to bring it in, especially on a 24/7, dependent upon what the pull is on the AI side. I think that's going to be really cool when we deploy more digital twins. That simulation is going to be really cool on the power. Like, how do we optimize the power load and the power situation on that kind of side of it. I think that'll be really cool to kind of see.
Absolutely. Sure. Hey, Amy, I'm going to have to catch my flight.
I can't
believe that the time just blew by.
It's
always a pleasure talking with you.
Yes. Well, thanks for coming on the show, and we'll catch you soon.
Thanks, Amy.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Right. So that's been this week's Data Center News Show. We will see you all next week. And we're talking on-site power generation. We talked a little bit about it today, but I got some folks and friends of mine that know what the heck they're talking about. And we're going to be talking about on-site power generation. So tune in for that, and y'all have a blessed week. We'll see you.